What is up, people of the interwebs? My name is Matt, and I am here to rank every single Saw trap from worst to best. I feel like it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. There's going to be major spoilers for every Saw movie, including Spiral, so there's your warning. A couple of ground rules before we start off. One, sometimes it's hard to determine what is considered a trap, so I'll give you my criteria here. For this list, the only things I included as traps are anything that includes a device or some kind of external mortal peril. So, Zepp from the first movie, he doesn't count because he just got poisoned and that's what's getting him to keep going. But say for like the second movie, the nerve gas house counts because if nobody does anything, something externally will kill them. So that's my criteria. I'm sorry if I missed something that you thought should be here. Second, this list is subjective, clearly. But that being said, this is the definitive list, and if you think I'm wrong, you can send me hate mail. Thirdly, some of these names for these traps I found on the internet, and some I came up with myself, but I'm sure you'll be able to figure out what they are if you've seen all the movies. And lastly, there are 68 of these traps that I counted, so I'm going to try to go through them pretty fast. Ready, set, go. Coming in last place at number 68 is the Pain Train from Saw 7. It's part of a dream sequence, it looks really bad, it's only there for 3D effects, terrible. Next. Number 67, the Reversed Beartrap Revisited from Saw 7. It's just taking stuff that was successful from the other movies and rehashing it. Lame, don't do that. Number 66, the Sentry Gun from Saw 7. This doesn't even feel like a Saw trap, it feels like Walter White when he came back in the last episode of Breaking Bad. Number 65, Wisdom Teeth in Saw 7. The guy just had to pull his wisdom teeth out and look at the numbers and do a code. That's so bad, that's lame. Number 64, Reverse Beartrap 2.0, Saw 6. This once again was trying to cash in on something else that was successful and do a new version of it. Come up with something original. Number 63, the Cyanide box from Saw 7. Cops walk in, cyanide comes out, they die. You couldn't have put more thought into it than that? Number 62, the Staircase from Saw 2. The cops are walking up it, they trip a wire, staircase comes out, breaks their shins. There's not really much to it. Number 61, HOFFMAN Shotgun from Saw 5. This is where we see how Jigsaw recruited Hoffman. One, I don't like Hoffman. Two, it's so simple of a trap, and it's not interesting. Number 60, the Jar Trap from Saw 5. This one is really low on the list because the people are so stupid. How do you not realize that like all of you can fit in one hole after you break the jars and you get in there? Come on, be smarter. Number 59, the Suspended Cage from Saw 7. The spikes underneath the cage are not close enough together. You could kind of just slip out of there and not get hurt. It doesn't feel like there's any danger. Number 58, the Glass Coffin from Saw 5. This is how Hoffman tricks Strom into dying from the walls closing together and he hops inside the glass coffin. I don't like it. I liked Strom better than Hoffman, so boo. Number 57, the Pig Vat from Saw 3. This one is only there for gross out factor, and I don't appreciate that. I want some kind of suspense or some danger. It's just here to be gross. Number 56, the Nerve Gas House from Saw 2. While I like this as a premise to set up the whole trap in the house, it's not super exciting in and of itself, so it's fine, but it's going to be low on the list because of that. Number 55, Spine Cutters from Saw 4. This is where Art Blank had them on his neck, and that was what was forcing him to help Jigsaw. You don't actually get to see them in use, so it's kind of low on the list, but I like them in theory. Number 54, the Quadruple Shotgun Hallway in Saw. This is when the guys are chasing after Jigsaw, and he trips a wire, and 4 shotguns shoot him. It's very, very, very simple. Number 53, Lawnmowers from Saw 7. This one you just get a glimpse of because it's kind of supposed to be a flashback, and it makes me question how everyone got all the lawnmowers set up and how that even works. It got so ridiculous that I was like, okay, come on, let's move on. Number 52, the Hangman's Noose from Saw 7. This is where I felt like they were getting really lazy when they were coming up with traps. It's like, oh, you have to walk on boards with your eyes closed, and if you fall, it hangs you? Come on, this isn't Saw. Number 51, the Drill Chair from Saw. This one is low because it's simple, and I almost forgot it was in there until I started doing this list. The police stumble across this guy in Jigsaw's lair who's attached to a chair, and it's got to drill into his head. That's it. Number 50, the Bathtub from Saw 5. This is one where someone gets electrocuted in a bathtub, and it's supposed to be like if everyone did it together, they would all survive, but it's not very cool. Number 49, the Steam Maze from Saw 6. This is another one where it's like, yeah, the steam will hurt, but it doesn't seem very scary to me. Not a lot happened in this one that I really care about. Number 48, the impalement wheel from Saw 7. This is another one where it's like, this is so simple. It's just a wheel that turns and it's going to impale you. We know what's going to happen. It's very slow. There's weird 3D shots. No, stop it, Saw 7. Number 47, the grain silo from Jigsaw. This is definitely the weakest trap in Jigsaw. It's, they're just in there and grain fills up and the tools start falling on them. Put a little more thought into it, man. Number 46, horsepower from Saw 7. This one is so gory. There's like heads exploding, people ripping skin off. It's unnecessary. It's wild and crazy and fun to laugh at, but is it good? Nope. Number 45, public execution from Saw 7, also known as I Think We're Breaking Up With You. This one didn't even feel like a Saw movie. They're doing it in public. They rip a girl in half. There's blood just going everywhere. No. Number 44, the gallows from Saw 6. This one is so low on my list because it didn't even feel like it kept the ethos that Jigsaw was trying to keep. What I mean by that is that innocent people got hurt in that trap, and that was not his whole thing. So they lost their way on that one. Number 43, flammable jelly from the first Saw. This one we just see briefly in a flashback, and I like the concept, but they don't do much with it, so it's still in kind of the bottom half of this list. Number 42, acid from Saw 6. This is where the guy is in the cell at the end and the needles come down and put hydrofluoric acid into his body and it like falls apart in half. And this one is low because if he was standing on the other side of the cell, it wouldn't work. I didn't like the reveal. I don't really care what happens to this guy, so. Number 41, the glass grinder from Spiral. This one is just, it grinds glass and spews it at a guy. Lazy. There's no intricacy, nothing. Come on. Number 40, hot wax from Spiral. This is another one where it didn't even really feel like it belonged in a Saw movie. It's just like, we're going to put hot wax on you unless you sever your spinal cord. That has nothing to do with what the person did, like the crime that they supposedly committed or anything. Like, move on. Number 39, the Antidote Safe from Saw 2. Now, this one I actually do like. I like the fact that they had to like look at the back of their necks to find the code to get into the Antidote Safe. It's just there are other devices that are more interesting, more intricate, so that's why this one ends up at this point on the list. Number 38, chain hangers from Jigsaw. I like the visual on this one where they're slowly being pulled up by the chains around their necks until they're going to be hanging unless they figure out what to do. So this one is here because I like the visual, but it's not crazy. Number 37, the husband and wife trap from Saw 4. This is the one where rods were stuck in between the husband and the wife, and she had to pull them out to save herself, but that would kill him. And I like this because that guy sucks anyway, and it shows the mental fortitude that the wife would have to try to let herself survive. Number 36, the brazen bull from Saw 7. This is where the wife at the end was on all fours because of the chain around her neck, and the brazen bull closes around her and burns her alive, makes her look like Freddy Krueger. And being burned alive is something that scares me, which it probably should scare everyone, but watching that happen, whew. Number 35, the bucket room from Jigsaw. This is another one where I like the visuals. I like the saws on the wall and the buckets on their heads, but this one's super easy to get out of. You just need to let yourself bleed a little bit, so it could have been higher on the list if it weren't for that. Number 34, the scalping seat from Saw 4. This one, when the scalp starts coming apart and blood starts spurting, it kind of makes me cringe. And, seeing the hair be turned in the cogs of the chair, it's effective. Number 33, the Magnum eye hole from Saw 2. I like this one because of the ingenuity. They told them not to try to open the door, and when he does, he turns the key, and it fires the gun right into his eye. It's pretty cool. It's simple, but it's cool. Number 32, the leg wires from Jigsaw. Now, this one is higher than it could have been on the list just because every time I see the wires tighten and it kind of cuts his leg into a bunch of little pieces, I go, ooh. Number 31, the furnace from Saw 2. Another one where someone's being burned alive. They come in and it closes on them and the fire starts and they're in danger of being burned alive. Number 30, see no evil, speak no evil. This is at the beginning of Saw 4, where one person has their mouth stitched shut, the other person has their eyes stitched shut, and basically one person has to kill the other so the other one can survive. Interesting concept. Number 29, 10 Pints from Saw 5. This one probably would have been lower, but it's kind of funny to me every time I see them stick their arms in and then their arms are kind of hanging in half. It's pretty bloody and gory and gross, but I kind of get enjoyment out of laughing at it with others, so. Number 28, Motel Room from Saw 4. This is another one where I kind of just laugh at it a little bit. The guy has to puncture his own eyes or else his limbs are going to be ripped off, and they do, and they get thrown across the room, and it's kind of funny. Number 27, the cycle from Jigsaw. This is where the guy has the motorcycle going around and he has to reach down into the thing and he ends up getting corkscrewed and flayed, basically. It's pretty brutal and interesting, and it works with what his crime was. So number 26, the shotgun keys from Jigsaw. You know, I just like the concept of this one. It's, you know, the key is in the shotgun shell. He says that if you try to fire, it's going to backfire on you, and it literally does. It shoots that person. It's not very crazy, but I like the thought behind it. Number 25, the hand trap from Saw 2. This is where the person sticks their hands up to try to get the antidote, but they can't get them back down because of the razors now on their wrists. I like this one because it'd be a slow death, but you'd have to just stand there because there's no way you can get out. It's really messed up. Number 24, the razor wire from Saw. We barely get to see this one because it's just in a flashback, but you know, it's just a maze made out of barbed wire that you have to try to get through, and it's impossible. So you're not going to make it through, and you're going to cut yourself open, and that makes me uncomfortable. Number 23, the freezer room from Saw 3. This is another one that makes me very uncomfortable. I don't like the cold, so seeing someone strung up in the freezing cold and getting sprayed with water, and then seeing Jeff rip off part of his face, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. Number 22, the knife chair from Saw 4. This one's very, very simple, but it's the first trap that Jigsaw ever made, and it's still good. It still makes you go, ooh, because he's cutting his face, and I like that it's the first ever Jigsaw trap. Number 21, blood puppet from Spiral. This one I kind of half like and half I'm like about. I just like seeing Samuel L. Jackson strung up like a marionette being bled dry. Interesting concept. Number 20, the silent circle from Saw 7. This one really, really makes me cringe because there is a fish hook down her throat and you can just imagine it ripping her esophagus, and you have to keep quiet or else it'll kill you. Number 19, the head cube from Saw 5. I mostly just like the visuals on this one of the water filling up in the head cube and the way that Strom gets out of it. You know, he gives himself a makeshift tracheotomy with a pen to survive. That's cool. Number 18, Pound of Flesh from Saw 6. This one is so just to the point. You gotta give a pound of flesh or as much as you can give to survive, and someone cuts their own arm off. It's brutal. Number 17, the classroom trap from Saw 3. This is the one where the guy had rings in his mouth, on his Achilles tendons, on his arms, and he has to rip them out to get out. Now, he wouldn't have been able to get out even if he wanted to, but watching someone just rip those through the Achilles tendon and have to think about him ripping his jaw off, it's creepy. Number 16, the necktie from Saw 5. If you don't undo the lock, you're going to get pulled back and decapitated, and someone does, and it's a crazy visual. Saw 5 is not a good movie, but that one was kind of interesting. 15, hooks from Saw 7. Now, this one isn't the best trap, but I really like the concept behind the trap, which is why it's so high on my list. Basically, this guy lied and said that he had to put hooks into his pectorals and pull himself up in a Jigsaw trap. So when Jigsaw actually got him, he made him really do what he said he had to do, and I like that. Number 14, the ice block from Saw 4. This is one where when they do the wide shot and the ice blocks come down and it absolutely obliterates Eric Matthews' head, it is crazy. You know that's what's going to happen if someone comes through the door, but actually seeing it, at least for the first time, blows your mind. Number 13, the finger trap from Spiral. This guy's going to get his fingers pulled off or he's going to get electrocuted in a pool of water. It makes me think of when I was a dumb kid or dumb adult and got my finger stuck in a Chinese finger trap, and you feel like you're going to have to rip your fingers off to get them out. So I guess that's why this one's so high on that list. Number 12, the shotgun collar from Saw 3. This one's very rudimentary, but it's very effective. Seeing all those shotgun shells around her neck and just knowing that if he dies, it'll just obliterate her head, which it does. It adds tension. It's good. Number 11, the oxygen mask from Saw 6. I would have never thought of this trap in a million years, and that's kind of why I like it so much. Everyone has to breathe, but if you breathe too much, you're gonna die. It's bad in these movies when you're like, well, I could have come up with that. This one never could have come up with it, so that's why it ends up in this top part of the list. Number 10, laser collars from Jigsaw. This kind of brings the shotgun collar from Saw 3 into the modern era. We have access to lasers in the world, and so updating this trap to make it more modern, I think that's cool. Number 9, angel wings from Saw 3. This is where Carrie is in the trap, and she has to put her hand in acid, and then it rips her rib cage open in a form of angel wings. Very, very, very effective and creepy. Number 8, the Pendulum from Saw V. This is the best that Saw V has to offer. You see the pendulum coming down closer and closer. You know it's going to rip him in half, and then it eventually does, and it throws intestines all over the place, which is really gross and unnecessary, but it's an effective trap. Number 7, Tongue-Tied from Spiral. This, I think, is the best that Spiral has to offer, which is funny because it's the first trap shown. I like it because the punishment fits the crime, because the guy always lied in court, so he has to pull his tongue off or he's going to get hit by a train, and he does, and he gets splattered everywhere. I thought it was the most effective visually of the whole movie. Number 6, the Needle Pit from Saw II. Some might think that this is like crazy high on the list because there's not much to do with it, but I'm fine with needles, but seeing 100 needles get put into Amanda at once when she gets thrown into the pit makes my skin crawl every single time, so it's definitely deserving of a top 10 spot. Number 5, the Venus Flytrap from Saw II. This is almost like they saw the Beartrap from the first one, and they're like, what would be the opposite of that? And it's super medieval because it is basically just like an Iron Maiden for your head, but it works in the modern day. This is a great trap. Number 4, the Carousel from Saw VI. I really love this trap because it stays on it for a long time, and you can only save a couple of people, or else it's going to keep spinning and stop and blow them away with a shotgun. I really, really, really like the scene with the Carousel in Saw VI. Number 3, the Rack from Saw III. Now, if you watch this one and you don't feel uncomfortable watching this guy get twisted until he dies, I don't know what to tell you. Because you see the bones crack and pop through the skin. It looks so painful. Jeff just stands around, but whatever, who cares about Jeff? The Rack itself is a crazy piece of machinery and deserves a top 3 spot. Number 2, the whole bathroom from Saw. Now, this includes Lawrence Gordon having to cut off his own leg, and I really love this because this is what kickstarted this whole 9-movie franchise. The bathroom itself is so intricate and well thought out. Him having to cut his own leg off is crazy, but they don't go overboard with it. A lot of it's just you see his expressions and it's implied. You can't get much better than this. And now for number 1, the only thing I think you can do to get better than it is the original reverse bear trap from Saw. This is so good that it was included on alternate posters for the first movie. It definitely is deserving of the number 1 spot on the list. And there you have it, folks. All 68 Saw traps from all 9 Saw movies listed from worst to best. I'm sure you're going to disagree with me on some of them, but that's the great thing about these. Everyone can have their own opinion. Everyone could like what they like and dislike what they don't. Alright guys, well if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And why don't you leave in the comments what some of your favorite traps are or what some of your least favorite traps are. I'd love to see what other people think. Thanks a lot guys, and I'll see you next time.